Harry, welcome, man. Really pleased to have you. Guys, I wanted to have Harry on here today because he has been using Booked for the past couple months and he's been coming up with some really cool use cases. And he had a really cool, interesting story to tell because he's landed clients. He started off as non-technical. Now he built it and sold it. So I just wanted to make sure we get all the sauce from Harry. But Harry, would love if you could just introduce yourself and then for the audience right here.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Armin. I'm Harry Hawks, founder at First Light AI. I joined actually Liam's AAA community close to a year ago now with pretty much no technical experience, and learned some things the hard way and learned some things a lot simpler. But it's kind of culminated in the last 2-3 months now, I believe. I've been with the Booked platform, and it's been really helpful we'll get into it, but to sort of help propel me to that next step.
Awesome. I'd love to hear about like what exactly is it that you're selling to kind of like your end client and who's using the software and how are you charging them? Is there like a setup fee, retainer, or both?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm basically building instant response systems,
Mm-hmm.
specifically targeting service businesses. And it's more of a behavior type than an industry type right now. I'm basically messaging 50, 60 people a day on LinkedIn and sort of getting into the weeds around, are you missing? Is your inbound leaking as a result of either your speed to lead or no processes being in place outside of core hours with regards to responding to leads?
Uh-huh.
And that's sort of helping me find my niche, because some industries I thought would, but are more progressive than I assumed, and vice versa. And ironically, the first client I landed was actually in the SaaS space. And it's actually a slightly different offer, but it came about off me talking about my offer, if that makes sense. It was the opener, which led to something else, which, problem.
Can you share the opener for us? And one more thing I just realized. Can you explain what like you described it as an instant response system? What is that? And why would that even work for people?
Yeah, of course. So what Booked allows me to create, depending on which channel I want to use, is an AI agent that will prompt a response to someone triggering interest in someone's businesses or their services. So say they click an ad or they message or they call or whatever it might be, I can create agents that respond instantaneously. You must, if you're looking for a quote for, I don't know, whether it's car leasing or landscape services or any type of trade services.
So specifically, like what was the system you installed for your client?
So for my client, it's voice AI. Voice AI is what I led with. So I led with, hey, are you missing leads because you're not picking up the phone quickly enough? Can we put something in that works 24/7 and we'll do the qualifying and just booking calendar meetings for you?
And you mentioned that was a SaaS or some other type of business?
Yeah, they're a SaaS. They said, no, we're all good. We don't really have any inbound calls. We literally drive everyone through our funnel to like a demo, one-on-one Google Meet where they go through hopefully an onboarding. But where our real pain point is in the follow-up. Like we convert, say, 40% of people on these demos. And then after that, everyone goes into our CRM, and it's basically on the founder to just schedule manually, like diary reminders or reminders on his phone or whatever it might be, to send, manual sequence of emails, text calls to try and, close them further down the cycle.
Okay, so that's really cool. So you're automating the manual and tedious work of the follow-up, and that's what sold them. Is that accurate?
Yeah, correct. Which wasn't in my initial offer, but the platform's good because I was like, I'm sure we can do this. I spoke to Danny and the team. Like usually your inbox in the platform is filled with like transcription notes from voice AI calls or whatever, medium or channel you're using. And then it will rank the leads off that transcript as hot, medium, or cold. And you can schedule your follow-up off the back of that. In this case, they're actually building the update as we speak. I just had a call with Danny at in your team, and it's really, really simple. They're just going to use whether he used Fireflies or the Google note taker transcript. After he does a demo call that doesn't close, he's going to copy that text, post it into the booked in platform, and then he's going to have a sequence of follow up on SMS and email. I'm hoping it's a bit of a Trojan horse to go into what more the platform can do, but it was good to just be able to sort of pivot and solve a real specific problem for him.
That's really cool. So you kind of like dove straight in, and then you found out a real problem that SaaS companies have, which is not inbound leads, but more so the follow-up from meeting to meeting, and you're selling that. That's actually really cool. And I love that, now you have you can like play around with this. Can you tell me about like the price you charge them and how the pricing and everything works?
Yeah, of course. So I'm pretty new to this journey myself. I'll be honest with you, the call was going a lot better than previous ones. We got onto pricing. I was thinking, it's a good question. I kind of wanted to get some skin in the game and get some projects off the bat. So we charge $197 a month, and we agreed to a 90-day pilot. So I got a 3-month payment up front of just shy of $600 USD. There's a few sort of guarantees within that, and there's a few guarantees and ways which, like, I guess they get their money back if it all doesn't go to plan. But I'm pretty confident it's such a simple automation that we can do for them that it's going to really provide value, and then sort of move them along that process to a more high ticket offer on whether that be the full voice AI or speed to lead system. We'll see.
That's really cool. So in your discovery calls, have you kind of had a discussion about like ROI and how much it would kind of cost them to solve this without you doing it, the tool, or what it's even like these missed follow-ups, what is it costing them in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to sort of pre-qualify and sort of tip up the close with that initially on the start of the discovery calls. So I usually get into a question around their metrics. How many inbounds are they getting? How many are they missing? What the cost per, or not cost, but what the revenue per closed ticket will be, and we sort of work backwards from, so you're missing X amount at Y price. Here's the delta on what you could make if you had the systems in place to make sure that you weren't missing those. And once you get into that with them, it sparks quite a lot of interest. Then it gets to sort of, usually it goes down to a question around trust in the platform and is it good enough, and yada yada yada, which is when you need to start showing a few demos and giving them a bit more than just I guess like the calculations. But it tees it up really quite well. That's normally like, once you go down that path with them, you can see the eyebrows raising, and then it's just around can you deliver?
Logic sells, right? You just make it a no-brainer offer.
Correct.
Okay. And what were the kind of numbers that you showed them that you can get them, if you have rough estimates of like, hey, if this works, when we put it for you, like how much was the potential in return?
Yeah, well, look, so they were doing about 100 calls a month, demos, and they're closing about 40% of them. Got 60 remainder, and then they close, I think, about 15 to 20% further in like manual follow-up. So for ease of math, say there's 50% circa that's sort of falling by the wayside, and that's new leads per month. So over a year, you're dealing with, I don't know, like 500-600 circa a month. And then they actually charge, in this SaaS business example, it's kind of similar pricing. It ranges from about 200 to 400 a month for their service. So if we're going 50 times 300, just if we take the medium number there, you're talking about sort of $15,000 being left on the table additionally every month by non-closed demos. Now the reality is, not all. There's a reason some of them aren't closing. Some of them aren't on the right system, like CRM, and some just truly are just not actually being qualified properly. But there's still about, I would say, at least half of that's just money left on the table.
Okay, that's awesome. That's a lot of potential you can help recover. So I guess now you have your mission. you have your vertical and the problem you're solving. Can you walk me through how kind of why you're using Booked at all and how you're using the account?
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, the AA was brilliant at getting me from literally my experience of AI was like prompting ChatGPT, to be honest. Like that was pretty much, and when I say prompting, like poorly prompting ChatGPT, to building automations of N8N and Make.com, using systems like platforms like Vappy and Retail to integrate voice AI with Airtable databases. The truth of the matter is, it was a lot harder than I imagined, and it took a lot longer than I thought. And I had maybe any given time sort of 10 different subscription things going on. Like, and it was just, that was just my reality of, well, that was, I mean, everyone's reality, really.
Yeah.
And then Liam put out a post around Booked its capability and doing a sort of beta testing pilot, and around a platform which could make a lot of those issues I just mentioned easier. And I thought, well, absolutely, I'll be interested in seeing that. And then fast forward a few weeks later, I'm in the group with yourself and the team, and the truth of the matter is, my ability to pump out sort of bespoke demos to my clients probably sped up. I think I mentioned this to you before, but like 10x. Like I could just really quickly get sort of, I say white labeled, but like get demos with at least a logo or some naming of my prospect on there, so it just feels hyper personalized to them. Out the door, I can pump out 20 a day if I want to, whereas before having to like reconfigure everything and even think about the UI. In fact, I never even got that far. It was just very like high level, we can do this. And I just found it just like really sort of accelerated my ability to go to market with a product offering, and also have more than one. Like it's not just, I've got WhatsApp, Gmail, voice capability. The triggering can be set different. The follow-ups can be set different. I know someone more technical than I would be able to do all of that within Make or N8N and probably the same speed. But the reality is, for me, it was taking maybe not the same speed, but they'd be able to get it done. But it was taking screen grab, paste into Claude, configure, troubleshoot, go back. It'd take hours and hours and hours on end. And truthfully, like that, I haven't been lost in those sorts of weeds anywhere near as much off the back of this, which has been great.
That's awesome, Harry. Thanks for the kind words. It's like I'm really glad it's like helping you get accelerated and like have one place to do all of this stuff. So now that you're more comfortable using the platform, do you see after you have this like kind of running on autopilot?
Yeah, I think so. Look, the truth is, I need to get more agents into deployment.
Hmm.
I need to, because I'm sure that's one thing that I'm learning on my journey into technology. Like, there's always issues that you don't know they're going to arise. So I could be mistaken, but I foresee like new challenges to pop up. But with the responsiveness of the team, the calls that we've had, like everything, we're kind of fixing it. Like that update that I mentioned earlier on the call came off the back of a client request. Met with Danny today. He's like, I'll get it done the next 24 hours. Like I've got confidence that we're going to get to a point where I'm just going to have a very clearly defined singular ICP productized offer that I can just work out my TAM and just go crazy with.
That's awesome.
Because that will probably suit my previous experience better. But yeah, 100%. Well, hopefully, right? Well, time will tell.
Yeah. So I guess now that we look into the future, since we have now, do you feel? I guess you've also seen like the other people in the community use Booked as well. But do you feel like Booked is robust enough to handle 10 plus clients like this or other industries?
Yeah. I mean, there's a few. I won't like mention names. There's a few people in the community that I don't know about 10 yet, but they've certainly got multiple clients on the go. And I was going through with some of the team the inboxes and the performance that it was doing, and the infrastructure seems solid, like 100%. I guess time will tell again, but I mean, from what I can tell, I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'm just like, we're like looking to explain to people kind of like, is Booked enough to scale? That was the question I was looking to answer for the new people entering. And I guess now that you have a client, you've used Booked, you're getting these, you have a good flow. What are your kind of plans for the next 3 months?
Yeah. So look, for me right now, I'm kind of juggling between my main offer's instant response systems. I actually have 2 calls later on off the back of database recovery potential as well.
Mhm.
Again, a lot of the time, like I'm finding I'm leading with my offer. It's being received well, but then I'm finding, that sounds really great, but actually we're more interested in X, Y, Z. And the good thing about Booked is I can pivot between the two. But between now and the end of Q1, what would be absolute dream time to me would be absolutely solidify an instant response system in a specific market, ideally with like a specific CRM or
Mhm.
very, 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 very niche offering. And then I'm just can go, absolutely, as I mentioned before, to town on just productizing that and getting all around it, because it's just a bit of a time waste leading with an offer and then having to sort of figure out what their actual core offer is, issue is. Whereas if I can just have the same,
Yeah,
it's too much, then it's just go, it's just selling at that point and getting in front of people, which I feel more comfortable with.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's like you go broad, you figure it out, and then you start narrowing, and then you go to different niches. I love it. So
Yeah,
I guess
but
now that
I think part of it's a reflection on me, like having the, with lack of a better term, balls to just be like, that's the one, but then you're also ostracizing yourself from 99% of the market, so it's like it's a constant
yeah,
battle. But I'm just going to try and follow the data. I'm not in a massive rush. If I need 3 or 4 months to really be confident, then so be it. I'll just be a bit of a, not a jack of all trades, but be a bit fluid until then. No problem.
yeah. So I guess so you've been developing for a little bit, right? And right now I'm just trying to like collect some honest feedback on how we can improve the product, the experience for the new people. Can you tell me about like what did you like about Booked when you first started, or like right now?
Yeah, what I liked about it was just the speed to be able to create a working voice agent,
Hmm.
basically. Like you don't even you should and you will end up going into I guess the VAPI backend and configuring things, but like just to get a working prototype to show a prospect that you know what you're talking about. Honestly, like Liam would pump it out in like 35 minutes or less in a video, and it would take me 7, 8, 9 hours as a complete rookie. Which I still don't know if that's again a reflection on my.
No, not at all. It looks a lot better in anyone's videos. You can't have 7, 8 hour videos, right?
Yeah,
Make
correct.
it 10 times and then you make the video. So it
Yeah, so but like genuinely with Booked your video was the same as Liam's, really just specific to Booked as opposed to Make versus Vappy versus Airtable versus whatever, and I would follow it along, and 20 minutes later I was recording demos. Pretty much it was that simple. And that was a real game changer for me, just being able to pivot in my demo and offer. Like as we were speaking earlier, I think I'm trying to just have a more general one now, rather than taking the time to do a specific new demo each time.
Mhm.
As I was building confidence and like sort of, I was finding it really helpful to do that, to make sure it's hyper personalized. And it just completely, it's just a different, you're playing a different game when you can pump them out that much quicker.
Yeah, I know they work, I guess. That's the best part.
Yeah, correct,
Um, and,
correct.
and to ask you, like, bluntly, what would you say kind of like was the hardest part about setting the stuff? Like, for example, if there's anything right now, if there's one thing we need to fix immediately, is there, or how can we can improve the platform? Looking through there.
It's just troubleshooting. If anything does come up, like about the other day, I had an issue with I used like Uform as
Hmm.
a trigger point for a webhook, and something went wrong with that webhook. And even now, if I'm totally honest, I still don't really know if I know what went wrong. But I think Eric fixed it, and it works again. Um, so I guess it's just, yeah, just getting better at knowing where to look to see.
Troubleshooting, right? Yeah.
Like, am I in the payload? Am I in the webhook? Am I actually in the prompt, in the agent? And I think that comes with experience, but just more support around in the onboarding on these are things that could go wrong. And if they
Mm.
do, maybe look here first. If that doesn't work, look here. I think that would have, in hindsight, and will continue to save me a lot of time. But other than that, I think it's pretty clear.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, because you embody kind of like the persona of a lot of new people joining, where they could be non-technical, they're scared of all this new tech, they don't want to learn this stuff. And I love how you just like, dove in, you built it, you sold it. Now it's kind of great, you know. So in that kind of tone, I'm trying to think. There's these new people that want to join. Do you have any words of advice?
Yeah, I think God, that's a good question. Do you have any words of advice? I think honestly, I think trust in the platform. Don't overthink the builds too much. Speak to clients, get their validation on what their actual issues are, because that's what I wasted a month trying to build out these more complex demos and strategies, and then speaking to people and they're like, yeah, I don't really need X, Y, and Z. And then I went, oh, well, that was a waste of time, right? So I think just trust in the platform, get to a base level where you can do 75% of what you expect the client will want, then speak to as many clients as possible and get the sales, because, or at least get to a point where they're like near buying, because with the support of the team in Danny, Eric, and everyone else in the community, like 9 times out of 10, if there is an issue, they'll tell you how to resolve it. And if it's not yet resolvable, like they're constantly updating and iterating the platform to make it resolvable. So just have confidence and start speaking to people. Because if I were to change anything and about what I've done, it's been spending too much time in the platform and not enough time on the outbound, which I'm really reversing as a result of the new year.
That's awesome, man. I love it. It's just like that's what I've been telling people now with these tools. It's like there used to be like you have to learn to build and then you have to learn to sell. But now learn to build has dropped significantly if you're using these. And you just have to keep going and sell and then learn to build, which is counterintuitive and it's hard to get that confidence. And I feel like, after you build one, you built your first thing, you're like, okay, I can do this, right?
100%. And I think people massively underappreciate, like might be like myself, like I've got 8 years B2B sales experience. So there you probably think, right, once I've got the platform, like, get the super yacht ready, like we're taking off, like this, like, the spaceship's ready to leave. But it's still a competitive space in some ways, and it's still very hard to get eyes on you, and it's still, even harder, back to our point earlier, to figure out exactly who your ICP is, and they're not all going to have the same issues, and they're not all going to respond to the same messaging. So like, just have faith in the platform and figure that stuff out after, because it might, unless you're like, I worked in this industry and I'm fixing this issue and I know, which is probably like dream time, like you're going to need a bit of soul searching to exactly find out where your gap in the market and where you feel at home is. So don't underappreciate that, is what I
Yeah,
would say.
that's awesome, Harry. Thanks for all the advice. I'm sure it'll help people out. I'm just curious, last question, I guess. If you had a time machine and you could go, let's say, a couple months back, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself, build a speed to lead system, integrate voice, and message 100 people a day, probably, until you've got like 5 or 6 very hot leads, if not those projects, and make decisions off the back of that, as opposed to, I probably, if I'm honest with myself, spent too much time reading or asking LLMs or speaking to other agency owners as opposed to actual clients. And I think that cost me 4 weeks, if not longer, of real life data.
Yeah, that's awesome, Harry. This is wise words. But really glad you shared all this feedback, and thanks you for being on. Just last question: Harry, if they want to find you and get some of these follow-up systems built for them, where would they find you?
Honestly, my main channel right now is LinkedIn. I have a YouTube, which I'm posting some very, very, very amateur videos on, which are basically Loom videos. But I'd probably say just find me on LinkedIn, Harry Hawks, founder at First Light AI. And there's links to my Calendly, email, or just shoot me a message. I'm always open to chatting.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Harry, really glad you came on. This was awesome. And yeah, guys, really listen to Harry and keep keep doing outreach. That's all you got to do right now. You'll be able to build with these tools.
Correct. Speak to people, have some faith, figure it out after. If there are issues, you've got a good support network. You'll get there.
Awesome. All right, thanks, man. Take care.
I'm in. All the best.
The best. Bye.